Hello, Michael from All Spirit Activism, and welcome to Breakfast with Michael, where I'm sitting eating some delicious vegan breakfast. See, I'm a vegetarian. Perhaps you've already noticed that, since every time I eat something on camera, it's vegetarian. And there are good reasons for that. I want to explain why I, as a Christian, am a vegetarian, and why I think that you, as a Christian, if you are a Christian, which I hope that you are, should be vegetarian. Now, I know the arguments that meat-eating Christians use. I know that Jesus ate meat. Yes, he did. The apostles ate meat. Peter saw a vision where all the animals that are on the earth came down from heaven in a big cloth, and God said, "Slaughter and eat this." Paul even talks about how those who only eat vegetables are weak in faith in Romans 14 verse 2. I know all of that, and still I am a vegetarian, and I think that you should be a vegetarian. Let me explain. When Paul talks about how those who only eat vegetables are weak in faith, he talks about stuff that don't matter for your salvation, and he discusses other things. He discusses those who don't want to drink wine, and he discusses those who think that kosher Jewish food customs are necessary for salvation. He rejects all of that. He says that that is not necessary. What is only necessary for your salvation is that you believe in Jesus Christ, proclaim him as Lord, and believe that he has been raised from the dead. That's what's important for your salvation. Eating vegetables and being vegetarian does not produce salvation. Amen. I 100% agree with Paul. Likewise, I don't see it as a big problem that the early Christians ate meat, because back then meat eating was not a big environmental problem. Today, however, it is a disastrous environmental problem. And this is really crucial to understand. There are many scientific reports on this. The United Nations has time and again shown that meat is probably the most dangerous ingredient when it comes to creation. In fact, the meat and dairy industry stands for 18% of all of global greenhouse gas emissions, and the United Nations Environmental Program has recommended people to eat much more vegetarian and vegan food to avoid a global environmental disaster. This is because meat requires so much more energy, so much more land crops, and so much more work than vegetables or other kinds of vegetarian food. See, when you have a cow, that cow must eat a lot to gain size, and a lot of energy is used when the cow itself lives and jumps around on the field, and so we just get a tiny bit of the energy that goes into the cow when it eats. So that means a huge energy loss. Now, in ancient times, in the times of the Bible, meat was a very important source for protein. Peanut butter and other kinds of beans that also include a lot of proteins weren't available everywhere, but animals are available everywhere. So it was not strange, and likewise, it's not strange that people eat meat in developing countries, in the majority world, and I'm not arguing really against that. I'm guessing that most of you, based on the YouTube statistics that I've had a look at, are from the minority world, from North America, Europe, Australia, and so on. And I think that we, as privileged rich people, should eat much less meat, because the alternatives are available for us. It is perfectly fine to be a healthy being not eating meat. In fact, it actually increases your health based on that. The World Health Organization recently said that bacon and processed meat is actually cancerous. It produces cancer, right? So it's on the same level as cigarettes, and we already know that red meat is very bad for the heart and blood and so on. and that's if you eat it a lot. Now, here's one of the big differences between the time of the Bible and Western meat culture today. In the time of the Bible, people ate meat very unregularly, and they didn't eat it a lot. So it was common to eat meat perhaps once a month, twice a month, something like that. And you still see this in poorer nations today. You don't eat meat a lot. Even here in Sweden, where I live, if you just go back 150 or 200 years, people ate meat at a maximum once a week. They call it the Sunday steak. And that was what was common in all of human civilization. Just the last 100 years, meat eating has exploded. And people eat meat much more than they do. Eating meat twice or thrice a day is extreme. It has been unheard of when you look at all of human civilization. And so when we do something that drastically, that impacts the environment a lot in a bad way. Now, as Christians, we should care not just for creation itself, but for people. And this is also something that many don't realize. When we talk about destroying the environment, it's not just that we're destroying plants and animals, we're actually destroying human lives. I mean, more people today die because of air pollution than all diseases combined, HIV, malaria, and so on. The climate change, which is a real thing, and that's a topic for another video, will kill millions and millions of people if we don't stop it. And when we are confronted with that fact, and we realize that eating more vegetarian, even if you don't go all in, but eating much more vegetarian, reducing your meat eating, will benefit not just creation as a whole, but human lives. I don't see why it would be a problem. I don't see how you can just refer to, well, they ate meat back then, to sort of justify you eating meat every single day, which Jesus and the apostles certainly did not. So that's why I think that we should become vegetarians. And the reason I go all in and only eat vegetarian is first and foremost to compensate for my Christian brothers and sisters who eat meat every day. I think if it would have been on a sound level, people could have eaten meat a little bit. And that's why I say that people in the majority world should do that if they can't access protein any other way. But I can live on vegetarian food, and I do so because I know of the disastrous effects that meat has on the environment. That's why I'm a vegetarian, and that's why I think that you should be a vegetarian. If you agree or disagree, please comment below, because I like reading comments and sometimes I answer to them. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.